I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it, but I've got my meal bubbling away over there. So if you can hear it, that's what that is. But so I had this. I had a comment on a video, and while I was writing out my response, it kind of made me think about this a little bit more. And the more I wrote, the more I was like, I like I like this. I like this. So I just wanted to kind of make it into a video so that it's, I guess, more accessible. I've done this on multiple occasions where I start like writing something out and then I'm like, I like how that sounds. Basically, this person was saying something about how the universe is not deterministic, right? So basically, what they're arguing is that like you can't predict like the universe. You can't predict the universe, I guess, right? Like you have free will. Your life is not set in stone, right? It's always changing. We're in this chaos and we are weaving our way through it, right? So the path through the chaos, it's constantly changing, and so there's no way for us to predict where we end up and what we will do, right? So the argument is that it is not deterministic. You can't. There's no fundamental deterministic level, right? Because if there is something that's fundamentally deterministic, that means that what builds that up should also be deterministic, which leads on to infinity, which if you can never find the end of the line, how do you know where to start in theory, right? Whereas, while this, makes sense, the farther you go out towards infinity, the effect diminishes, right? Just like, throwing grains of sand at a boulder does not really do much to the boulder, right? At a certain point, the size of what's affecting it doesn't really affect it, right? It technically is affecting it, right? It's doing something to the boulder, but practically speaking, it's not doing anything, right? To us, nothing happens. Now, you could throw trillions on trillions of grains of sand at the exact same spot, and it will have a noticeable effect over time for sure. But that's not really necessarily what we're talking about here. We're talking about small little nudges, right? Like that doesn't, at a certain point, it no longer really matters. So yes, you don't know how to determine that chaos, right? However, that chaos is no longer sufficiently influential. So you can basically ignore it. And we do this already. We do this all the time in physics. This is just a part of how we do everything. And in my opinion, this is what quantum mechanics is. It is ignoring the as they call it, the quantum foam. We ignore the quantum foam because it doesn't affect anything substantially. And everything works out fine. Everything's super accurate because we're ignoring such a minuscule amount of the equation. However, you can't ignore it forever if you want to continue looking deeper. But again, you don't really need to look deeper, which I'm about to get into. My argument after kind of reading through what they were saying and kind of thinking about what they were trying to say, is that while the grand plan of the universe may be undeterminable, I think local determinism exists. Right? So if you drop a ball, or you just let go of a ball, it it falls. If you're on Earth, right? If you're on Earth or somewhere that's got gravity, right? If you drop the ball, it's gonna fall down, because that's how gravity works. This is deterministic. This is a predictable behavior. We can calculate the mass of the ball. We can calculate the distance. We can calculate the strength of gravity. We can do all of these things, and we will know the amount of energy of the system. We will be able to predict how the system will unfold to significant accuracy, and what the effects of this system will be, right? We can predict all of this because it is deterministic. And if it is deterministic at anywhere, then that stands to reason that it can be deterministic at both smaller and larger scales, right? And so while it appears as chaos to us, it does not mean that it is actually chaos, because at a certain scale, what we see as chaos is just the quantum foam. It doesn't matter anymore. It's not effectual, right? You might as well just ignore it. It's not going to change the outcome by any significant degree. And so when you look at things from this perspective, if you zoom out more, right? Like if right at your scale, you're like, oh, I can't determine this. I don't have enough information, right? You just need to zoom out and gather more information. Not saying that this is an easy thing to do and something that's practical for us in the near future. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Depends on how quickly technology advances. Maybe it's going to absolutely go crazy, and we just have no idea what's on the horizon. But, to be determined. So, you drop a ball, it falls down. This is predictability, which, basically is the building block of what allows life to exist in the first place. The fact that there is deterministic behavior is what allows evolution. Because if everything was chaos, then nothing can evolve in the chaos, because nothing is consistent, right? You can't build anything on inconsistent, if it's true chaos, you can't really build anything in it. You have to be you need a location of stability, and you can have a location of stability in the middle of chaos, but that does not change the fact that it is still stable, right? It may be technically chaos because everything is technically chaos. However, it is also still stable. And because it's stable, it is predictable, and you can use that to build off of and grow and evolve, right? And that is what our universe has done. And we have gotten to the point where we exist. How great, right? So because we exist, and all this stuff, right? It's just kind of proof of life being deterministic. And we've discovered the fact that life is deterministic through mathematics and physics and all of these different fields. Like, we have realized this, right? And so, if an action can be determined on a small scale, then actions on a larger scale should follow suit with sufficient information, as I had just previously said. Collecting that information wouldn't be easy, of course, as I also said. The grand plan is equivalent to the value of infinity, undefined. So if you think about what the final outcome of the universe will be, if you think, where is the universe heading, what will it become, right? If that's what you're trying to figure out, then no, you can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because the universe, whatever the universe becomes is then within something else. And the fact of infinity means that you're chasing a meaningless thing. It's undefined. It doesn't exist. It's not real. You will never find it because there's just no limit. There's no limit. Right? And so, the grand plan is equivalent to the value of infinity, undefined. But counting towards infinity, which you can do, if you decided to right now count from 1 to infinity, you could start doing it. You will never reach it, of course, because infinity is not real. But you could start counting. And every time you counted up, it would be a real number. You would find yourself at a real number. It's only undefined at infinity. Every number before infinity is defined. It's real. It's a real number, right? So you can count for the rest of existence and you will never reach infinity. But every time you change the number, it would still be real. And to me, this is equivalent to local determinism, right? This is equivalent to every single moment, right? Every single moment you live through, you theoretically can predict, right? However, you cannot predict where you're going to finally end up because the definition of a final destination doesn't make sense. It's not like if you don't know where you're going, how do you know you got there? Right? Is kind of the problem, right? You don't know when you've actually reached the final destination because you don't know where the final destination is. So you may have reached it, but you have no idea, or you don't know because you don't know where that is, right? So you can never actually get there because you don't know where there is. And so, right, so, truthfully, the universe is nothing in nowhere. At the end of the day, from a practical perspective, right? So if you're looking at the universe and you want to be like, what is the universe? What does it all mean? Well, it's nothing. It means nothing. It is nothing. It's always been nothing. We are nowhere, right? It's all zero. The answer is zero. And you're like, what? How could this be nothing? How could this be nothing? I'm clearly something, right? And so this is why trying to determine its fundamental level doesn't mean anything. Its fundamental level is what it is as a whole, not parts. You can't divide zero into anything. You just have more nothing or more of the whole thing, right? So if you try and say, okay, well, I'm going to break zero up into 5 parts, technically you can do that, right? Now you have 5 zeros. You know, mathematics will say, no, you can't do that. You can't split nothing into 5 nothings. But why not? What's the difference? If I say it's 5 nothings or 1 nothing, or I have nothing nothings, what has changed? Nothing's changed. Nothing changed because it's still nothing. I can say whatever. I can say it's whatever I want. It's still nothing, right? And so because of that, basically, if you're continuing to look for the fundamental level of the universe, you're never going to find it. It doesn't exist. It's not real. The fundamental level is existence as it is now. If you look out at the world and you understand the world as it is, the universe as it is, you will understand the fundamental level of the universe. Because that's all that it is. You can't break it up into parts. Because if you break it up into parts, you just break it up into more zeros. You're just looking at a smaller version of the same thing. So you could say, oh, I don't understand this. Let me make it smaller. I don't understand this. Let me make it smaller. Let me make it smaller. Let me make it smaller. All of a sudden, you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. There's nothing there. And that's the point. That's the point. There's nothing there. So, yeah. It's crazy. But you can have infinite something in nothing. And it doesn't break the math. The math still checks out. Oh, I have 1 billion zeros? It's still just zero. Right? Nothing changes. And you can say it's whatever you want. As long as it's still technically nothing. You can have a lot of somethings that are still nothing. And this is why the universe is the way it is, and this is why everyone's so confused, and the math is not mathing. The physics is not physicing. Physicsing, because we're trying to do something that just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean anything. We're trying to find meaning in nothing. There's no meaning. It just is. That's just what it is. It's zero. What does it mean? It means nothing. Well, what does that mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. What do you mean it means nothing? It doesn't mean. That's what it means. It doesn't mean anything. It can't mean nothing. No. It means nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. It means nothing. It's funny. But yeah, so basically, because it's all nothing, right? You can have as much nothing as you want in any direction, and it's still nothing. So nothing breaks. Right? And because nothing breaks, you can't find an ending. You can't find a smaller thing. It's all part of the whole. It's all still within that same thing, which is nothing, right? And it's bizarre, but that's just how it be. And so you can determine small portions of the nothing because it's all working off the same exact principles, right? No matter how zoomed out you are or how zoomed in you are, it's all the same. You can't predict beyond it because there's nothing beyond it. You can't have... Nothing is not... There's no boundary on nothing. You can't have a boundary on nothing. It's just nothing. And so you can't get outside of nothing because there's nothing to get outside of. So it's just... I'm saying nothing a lot, but I think it's funny. So... and so that's why you can have deterministic behavior. And that is why the universe, on some level, is deterministic. However, it doesn't really matter because we are not on a scale large enough or zoomed out enough to understand the determinism. To us, it's all still chaos. And I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where it's not. I mean, theoretically, we can. Theoretically. I mean, I don't know what that entails exactly, but theoretically, we can. And if we did, then we would realize, right, this world is not as chaotic as we thought. Right? And this kind of goes into, it's fractal behavior, basically. But chaos... I truly think that you can break chaos into chunks of deterministic behavior and then predict it. Is it useful? Probably not. It's a lot easier to, rather than try and curate the perfect chaos that gets the outcome you're looking for. It's better to just, laminarize the flow, right? That's much simpler. So, sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So, but theoretically it's possible. But is it practical? I don't know. The answer is probably not. But maybe it's good information to know. It might be a novel thing. Look, we solved chaos. But yeah, I don't know. Peace out.